Let's cut across to our political panelists this evening. Joining me is Sanju Verma. She's the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and Supriya Shrinate, national spokesperson, Congress. I want to cut across right now to Sanju Verma first. Sanju, you know, the fact is, for you to pull out the attendance records of Rahul Gandhi, how does that really match up? Where Rahul Gandhi says that there's been a gag order or of sorts, which is an unofficial gag order, that every time the opposition wants to rake up something on the floor of the parliament, the mics are silenced. How does not attending parliament have anything to do with what he said? You're on mute, Sanju.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry for the technical glitch. Preeti, like I said, my warm wishes to you and your audience on the festive occasion. Coming straight to your question, without beating around the bush, let me just make it very clear. The whole narrative at London by Rahul Gandhi has been that democracy khatre mein hai. And Preeti, I won't take too long. I will just give you a few instances which prove that Rahul Gandhi is actually far removed from ground realities. Let's not talk about the First Amendment in 1951, which curbs free speech, which was pushed forward by Rahul Gandhi's great-grandfather, Jawaharlal Nehru. Let's not talk about the 1975 emergency by Indira Gandhi. Let's not even talk about the 42nd Amendment by Indira Gandhi in 1976, which curbed the power of judicial review of courts. Let's not even talk about the 1988 Anti-Defamation Bill, which Rajiv Gandhi wanted to bring about. Thank God it never saw the light of the day. Let's not even talk about the 2013 Communal Violence Bill, which the Congress wanted to bring in. Again, it never saw the light of the day. My simple point is this. When you go on a foreign soil and say democracy khatre mein hai, what is the example that you've given? You've given the example of Pegasus. Now, the Supreme Court Monitored Committee checked 29 phones, and in August 2022, the then Chief Justice N.V. Ramana, Preeti, is on record saying that while there were malwares found on 5 phones, there was no trace of Pegasus whatsoever on any of these so-called afflicted 29 phones. So is Rahul Gandhi now questioning the good judgment of
But Sanju Verma, you're quoting Mr. Ramana, but Mr. Ramana also said that the centre and the government is not cooperating.
Yes.
Is not cooperating in the case.
Let's take.
Yes,
I know that, Preeti.
I'm just telling you, so there are two sides of the coin. You know, we can quote one and not look at the other. Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
No, I'm not going to look at one side of the coin. I'm also then going to bring in the statements of the very opposition leaders today who have joined hands only driven by their visceral hatred for Narendra Modi. P. Chidambaram is on record in the not too distant past, himself admitting that Pranab Mukherjee, who was then his colleague, his phones were hacked. Mamata Banerjee, more than 10 years back said that in 2006, her phones were hacked by the then Congress government. We have M.K. Stalin, when he was not on good terms with the Congress, has said that his and his father Karunanidhi's phones were hacked by the previous Congress regime. Without getting into who hacked whose phones, I just want to say this to Rahul Gandhi. You keep saying democracy khatre mein hai. You tweet on everything under the sun. India overtook the United Kingdom at over $3.2 trillion to become the world's 5th largest economy. Rahul Gandhi Mahashay, kya aapki taraf se you tweeted even once congratulating the countrymen? Forget congratulating Narendra Modi. If India is today the 5th biggest economy in nominal GDP terms, I as a proud taxpayer feel that there is something to cheer about irrespective of my political ideology. Has Rahul Gandhi bothered to do that? He does not have a sense of pride in India. He's so consumed by his hatred for the current dispensation. And Preeti, just 10 seconds. I'll tell you why. It is because Rahul Gandhi knows that he and his electorally vanquished, debilitated party have no chance of coming to power. Forget in 2024, not even in 2029.
Sanju Verma, I'm going to cut across to your comment. All right, I'm going to cut across the
election in
I am going. Okay. Sanju Verma, I'm cutting across to the Congress spokesperson there, but I will come back and ask you that question. How is it correlated that somebody's attendance is low, therefore he's not gagged in Parliament? We're going to come back to that, not now. But Supriya Shrinate, I want to bring you in on this. The question is, there's a little bit of confusion on where the Congress stands on it. You yourself have conducted a press conference when George Soros went out and criticized exactly in similar terms of the word usage of Rahul Gandhi. You said it's none of your business. So when Rahul Gandhi steps onto foreign soil and he, and quote me if I'm wrong, says that EU nations are really not reacting to what really Narendra Modi is doing back home. So are we looking at seeking foreign intervention when we snubbed it back home in India?
Okay, very quickly, Preeti, because, you know, the other panelists, I was happy that somebody was on mute and we would have had a peaceful evening, but that said, this is just in the spirit of Holi. I hope she won't start shouting over this. But,
all right, okay. I hope both of you will allow each other. Yes, go ahead.
I'll play out a 40-second bite for you. Yes, I'll play out a 40-second bite for you. She spoke for almost 4 minutes. 40 second ki meri bite suna dijiye aap logon ko. It's important that people hear it.
It's our problem, right? It's an internal problem. It's an Indian problem. And the solution is going to come from inside. It's not going to come from outside. However, the scale of Indian democracy means that democracy in India is a global public good. Right? It impacts way further than our boundaries.
So when Rahul Gandhi ji is in London, and when he says, and he was asked a question on India's weakening democracy, and he was asked specifically on foreign intervention, I am re-quoting him. This is our problem, this is our internal problem, this is an Indian problem, and a solution to this will be found from inside India, not outside. But in the same breath, he goes on to say that a country that inhabits 1.4 billion people, 140 crore log Hindustan ke loktantric ढांचे में रहते हैं, हमारा लोकतंत्र will also determine and impact democracies on this planet. You know, when he says that, in one go he's telling nations that start taking Indian democracy far more seriously than you do, because what happens to us is going to determine global democracies. He's actually giving India a pivotal position. If I were a member of the BJP, I would get up and applaud. But members of the BJP on this channel and some of the out-of-job ex-ministers do press conferences misquoting him. I mean, what sort of sham is this? Either you decide. I just want to say one thing. The BJP has to decide one of the two things. Is Rahul Gandhi somebody that they collectively respond to? Yes, they do. That means he's saying things which rattle them. That means he says things which, you know, 96 hours his Cambridge lecture, they're still going on and on and on about it. And Pegasus, they want to talk on Pegasus. The Supreme Court was told by the committee that was set up to probe Pegasus that the government of the day did not cooperate. They want to talk about Mr. Modi saying stuff on foreign soil. Mr. Modi ने foreign soil पर कहा है, हिंदुस्तानी सोचते थे हमने क्या पाप किया, हम हिंदुस्तान में पैदा हुए. And it's a series of things that he has said all across. When he says,
I'm going to come right back.
70 years on foreign soil, you think that's bringing glory
all
to
right.
India?
Supriya Shrinate, I'll come right back. Supriya Shrinate, okay, I'm going to come right back to you. Sanju Verma, the question is, you know, I have at least 4 instances. Madison Square, where the Prime Minister criticized the opposition. Why is it that the government becomes India and India becomes the government, or the Prime Minister becomes India and India becomes the Prime Minister? Why can't one on foreign soil criticize the Prime Minister and the government, but why does it have to be insult to India?
You know, Preeti, that's a very straightforward question. And I'll just give you one response. You know, before coming to your question, I'm not going to hold back my punches. The Congress panelists said that, you know, BJP members, you know, should do this and do that. Excuse me, we don't need advice from an electorally debilitated party. Northeast mein aapka supra saaf ho gaya. You're reduced to 52 seats in Lok Sabha. Please go and give advice to your crown prince, or should I say clown prince, and stop lecturing us. You have no political credibility left. Now coming to your question, Preeti. You know, I completely agree with you. You know, BJP does not believe in what was told in 1970s. that Indira is India and India is Indira. No, we don't subscribe to that, personality cult. Despite the fact that Prime Minister Modi is one of the most popular and powerful leaders of the world, and this has been said on umpteen occasions, very recently by his Italian counterpart, Giorgia Meloni. My problem, Preeti, is you can criticize the ruling dispensation. That is your right under Article 19 of the Constitution. But when you say that I would urge the European Union and the US to restore democracy in India, he said, I urge, I'm quoting him ad verbatim. He said, I urge the US and the European Union to restore democracy. Is this man talking about balkanization? Is this man not happy with the fact that today India is a proud, one of the largest sovereign democratic republics whose vaccine Maitri, where we actually gave vaccines to more than 200 million people in over 150 countries, which has been lauded, not just by Bill Gates, but by somebody like an Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Security General, who said that India's leadership in one of the worst pandemics in 102 years is a classic textbook case of what leaders globally should do when there is a crisis. He said India was the only country which reached out without fear or favor. But have you seen the Congress talk about that? Tell me one thing, Preeti. You and me may be on the opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of our political affiliations.
Ma'am, how do you know that?
I'm making a hypothetical assumption.
I'm sure Suppression 8 will say the same thing.
I'm making a hypothetical assumption, Preeti.
Okay.
But 10 seconds. I'm sure, and I've never seen you, I watch your channel very regularly, especially your show. I've never seen you undermine the bravehearts of this country. And for Rahul Gandhi to go on foreign soil and name the Pulwama terror attack in which 40 of our bravehearts were martyred as just another car bomb blast. This is the same Rahul Gandhi who's a repeat offender, and recently when there was a fractious issue between the Indian and the Chinese in the Tamang sector, despite Rajnath Singh, despite Amit Shah, despite S. Jaishankar saying not an inch of land was usurped, this man goes and says 2,000 square kilometers were usurped by PLA. क्यों आपको PLA ने आकर कान में बताया था राहुल गांधी जी? And how dare you undermine
Sanju, I'm going to cut across back to Supriya Shrinate, and I'm going to verbatim, because none of you, both of you, actually, rather I'd say don't hold your punches. But Supriya Shrinate, I want to bring you in, and I will quote verbatim, because we are now quoting on what Rahul Gandhi exactly said. And Sanju Verma, no, he did not urge the EU to step in, but what he did say, Supriya Shrinate, was why Europe and the US, the defenders of democracy, were oblivious of how a huge chunk of democracy in India had come undone. This was what Rahul Gandhi said verbatim when he was at the Cambridge University. Somewhere down the line, Supriya Shrinate, and I'll come back to that same question. It's not about Rahul Gandhi's attendance, it's not about any of that. But when you're going to sit and hold press conferences in Delhi and say that we don't want foreign intervention, then, I would reckon a statement like that will confuse people back home.
So thank God people are doing press conferences, because Modi ji ne to 9 saal mein ek press conference hi nahi kari hai. You guys should be happy at least somebody is doing press conferences in this country.
Okay, can I just get Supriya Shrinate? Only Supriya Shrinate.
Even once.
Don't speak in between. Can I just get Supriya Shrinate?
Preeti, this is not how a debate
Ma'am, you're on. I've cut. Go ahead.
Put her down, put her mic down.
You're on, ma'am. Go ahead. Exactly the same time, you're 3 minutes.
Will be done. You can't keep talking when I'm speaking. Yeah, I want to actually challenge this woman because she has misquoted. He never used the word urge. You either take back your words or I'm going to drag you to the damn court and you will have to pay for what you've just said about an opposition leader, an elected member of parliament. Point one. Point two, Pulwama. He showed a picture and he says, this is where I am.
Can I just get Supriya Shrinate? Can I ask some productive things? Just get Supriya Shrinate for 3 minutes. Go ahead, Ms. Shrinate, make your comment. I'll go back to Sanju Verma. Go ahead.
No, this is not how I can go ahead, Preeti. I did not utter a word. You either put her on mute or you can do the show.
Ma'am, she's on mute. Go ahead. She is on mute and then you'll be on mute. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. He said, I offered floral tributes to the Pulwama martyrs. The Prime Minister kept shooting. He did not say it, but I want to say it. Pradhan Mantri to picture shoot kar rahe the jab Pulwama ka terror attack hua tha with Mr. Grill, man versus white at the Jim Corbett. Do we want to talk about that? You want to talk about China? Let's talk about China. How is it that after 20 brave hearts made the supreme sacrifice, our trade deficit with China has gone up consistently? It has crossed the $100 billion mark. Why is it that petroleum point 10 to 16 is now in our buffer zone. Why are we not patrolling up to that point? You know what Rahul Gandhi said? Something that Mr. Modi will never have the courage to say. He said, we have democracy in our DNA and ethos, India. China is a coercive society. China has issues and problems when we talk about productivity, because when it comes to productivity, we are the biggest game in town. Mr. Gandhi is calling out China and calling them coercive. प्रधानमंत्री तो यही नहीं बोल पाए थे कि कोई घुसा हुआ है, सारे देश को झूठ बोला, कोई घुसा हुआ नहीं है. आज चीन का पीएलए भी, China's army says, what's the fuck? Your Prime Minister also says the same thing. Koi
Can I please come in now? You
spoke for 4 minutes now. I'm giving you exactly the same kind of intervention.
You talk about...
She's made some wild allegations, Preeti.
I will come back to you, madam. Let her make her point flow. Once again, I'll ask the police, can I jump in Supriya Shrinate?
Democracy?
She's completely lost
talk about it?
No, Preeti.
Ma'am, 30 seconds finished, then I'll cut across to Sanju Verma.
I'm very disappointed. What is this nonsense?
Ma'am, finish. 30 seconds
talk
finished.
About Indian democracy. We are a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. And you have never had a role to play in winning our independence or laying the foundation of our democracy. You want to finish it every day by actually arresting a 21-year-old climate activist. That's how you are scared of. You are scared of a pop artist like Rihanna. You want to be custodians of democracy.
Okay.
Shame on you. You are a bunch of lying,
all right. Sanju Verma,
people in the
30
BJP
seconds.
who
Come
get
in for a rebuttal.
by Mr. Gandhi.
Can I just get Sanju Verma?
To see all your lies. You are liars. You are a liar.
Can I just get Sanju Verma? 30 seconds.
I want the full screen alone, because you did not take me when you took her on air. I refuse to speak unless I'm taken alone on air.
30 seconds. By the way, you still have spoken 1 more minute, more than Supriya Shrinate till now. 2 interventions each. 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Thank you. Preeti, first and foremost, let me tell the Congress and let me tell this abusive woman who abuses all our ministers who are, holding positions of authority, or Prime Minister who's democratically elected 24/7. You go and check Supriya Shrinate's timeline. It is the timeline of a frustrated and desperate troll. It is not the timeline of the national spokesperson of an electorally vanquished party. Even, TMC, we debate with them, we debate with the DMK, but I've never seen an uncouth and abusive woman like
30
Supriya
seconds, you have
Shrinate.
10 more seconds. That's it. I'm running out of time. I'm giving you equal interventions.
Yes,
and
so
you're still
in
1
my 10
minute over.
seconds, in my 10 seconds, Preeti, she spoke for 4 minutes in the
Madam,
last
you spoke
intervention.
for
Give me
5 before
45
that. You
seconds.
want me to time it? I'll send you the
Can I please
entire
finish
account.
now?
Please.
Can I finish? Thank you. Okay. I will just say this. The world's largest financial inclusion scheme, Jan Dhan Yojana, came up during Prime Minister Modi. The world's largest healthcare scheme, Ayushman Bharat, thanks to Prime Minister Modi. The world's largest sanitation scheme, Swachh Bharat, under Prime Minister Modi.
You have 20 seconds. Go ahead, ma'am. I'm closing the show. Supriya Shrinate, come in for an intervention, and please let's attack. I apologize to our viewers there. There's no point getting into name calling. Go ahead, Ms. Shrinate.
I have not called a single name. Everybody has seen
Can
I just get Supriya Shrinate for 20 seconds and you close the show?
This woman abuses the Prime
Can I
Minister
just get Supriya Shrinate for
24/7.
20 seconds? PCR, can I just get Supriya Shrinate for 20 seconds? Go ahead, Supriya.
Preeti, my simple point is that the BJP should stop lying about what Rahul ji has said, should stop distorting it, should stop unabashedly lying, and instead start debating the issues that he's raising. If you are really someone who wants to believe in democracy, let's debate the issues. But वो आपकी औकात नहीं है करने की, वो आप कर नहीं पाते हैं, वो आपका हौसला नहीं है करने का, तब इधर-उधर भागने लगते हैं.
All right, with that, I appreciate both of you for joining us, and I would hope the next time around we're going to steer clear of at least personal attacks. It serves absolutely no one. It just takes the level of debate to a new low. Thank you for joining us.